Touch and go that there'd be a Brazilian Grand Prix at all this year. The drivers are very unhappy about the 5-mile Interlagos circuit, and they've protested about competing there, for the surface is appallingly bumpy. In fact, they say it's positively dangerous.
Yes, well, the bumps certainly make driving very unpleasant, but it is at least the same for everybody. The real problem with the danger of the circuit is, of course, the barriers and the catch fence arrangements, which are definitely inadequate. Jody Scheckter, we see here now, has been leading a fight for safety, and he nearly got the race stopped. A lot of drivers didn't want to do it. Alan Jones has been troubled by the bumps. Some of the cars are performing much better than others over the bumps, but the Renault, with Jabouille driving, sitting on the pole as we see here now, has certainly had no problem.
So, 40 laps over this 5-mile circuit. That's almost 200 miles as they line up on the grid. Jabouille on the right. There is Gilles Villeneuve behind Jabouille, and to the left of your picture, number 25, Didier Pironi, the Frenchman, in the Ligier, second fastest. Now, we can expect the Renault to get away slowly because of its turbocharger, and indeed it has, because it's Gilles Villeneuve in the Ferrari and Pironi that punch past Jabouille into the first corner. It's Villeneuve, then the two Ligiers, Pironi and Lafitte. Jabouille in fourth position, Arnoux in the turbocharged Renault in fifth place, and Villeneuve, the brilliant young French-Canadian driver in the flat 12 Ferrari, is on his way in the Brazilian Grand Prix. Then the Ligiers, Jabouille coming out from behind Lafitte to take third position. Terrific power, Arnoux, then De Angelis and Alan Jones in seventh place in the Saudi Leyland.
Yes, we had a bit of a bump there just at the back of the field, Murray. I couldn't quite see who it was, but it looked possibly like Zanino in the Brabham, touched another car and spun out.
Villeneuve, Pironi, second fastest, driving in only his second race in the Ligier Gitane car. Last year was in the Tyrrell. So the Frenchman in second place, Jabouille in third position. Then there is Lafitte, and here is Villeneuve in the Ferrari.
This is a circuit that, apart from the chassis, of course, you can't do well here without a good chassis. You watch the power of the Renault. Now, the Renault's power is a really big advantage here at Interlagos. We've got an uphill straight they just came up. Here's a replay now of that incident on the first. You'll see two cars, just there he goes, just touching. And I think that looks like a Brabham to me, so it must be Zanino spinning.
And it's still Gilles Villeneuve on the first lap. And look how Didier Pironi in the Ligier is holding on. Then there's the very, very powerful turbocharged Renault of Jabouille, who's already made one essay to get at and pass Didier Pironi and failed. And as sure as anything, he'll be trying again soon. Into the right-hander, Villeneuve still, Pironi second, Jabouille behind Jabouille in fourth position, the Ligier of Jacques Lafitte, who won here last year, as he did in the Argentine last year, but he had bad luck at the Argentine a couple of weeks ago. That's Lafitte. Now, where is Jabouille, and what is the relationship between Jabouille and Lafitte as Villeneuve still leads away on lap one?
Yes, well, we'll see now. They're going on to the last corner of the lap, and they've got a long uphill straight, accelerating from a slow corner, and this is where, above all, the power of the Renault turbocharger will tell. And let's have a look now to see if he is, in fact, making an impression on Pironi. Yes, he's gone right past him. Jabouille has passed Pironi on pure acceleration, up the hill, on full tanks. If you can see any sort of noticeable difference between two cars, straight line performance in Grand Prix racing, there's a big power advantage. To see a difference like that means that there's a really huge advantage, something probably, I would think, comfortably 60 horsepower, probably even more, the Renault has as an advantage. Now we can see if he can close that gap down the back straight on the Ferrari. Of course, he'll be running more wing than the Ferrari, so his top speed won't be so fast. His big advantage is going to be on acceleration.
Jacques Lafitte into third position, and that's Mario Andretti, the 1978 world champion, and it looks as though he's out of the Brazilian Grand Prix. Lafitte trying to take his teammate Pironi, who will have nothing of it. Yeah. Lafitte trying to go through on the inside. Now on the other side, it's still Villeneuve first. In second position, Jabouille. And it'll be interesting to see whether the very powerful Renault is going to be able to do anything about the very powerful Ferrari, each producing something over 500 horsepower.
Well, this is another chance. Now we've got an uphill right-hand corner, medium speed, and a straight where power really tells. And look at that Renault close up on the Ferrari. There's no slipstream advantage here, and Jabouille slips straight past in the lead, purely on the power of his car.
Lap 2, a new leader, Jean-Pierre Jabouille in the Renault, who won last year's French Grand Prix at Dijon in brilliant style. And look at it again. And watch the way the Renault absolutely powers past the Ferrari.
Yes, Murray, don't get me wrong on this. Of course, the Renault chassis is also working extremely well. He wouldn't be up there. You can't do this just with power, but the situation appears to me to be that the chassis are all pretty similar in performance and grip at the moment. And the big difference, of course, is Jabouille's extra power with his turbocharged engine. And in fact, Villeneuve must be in some sort of trouble because Pironi slipped past him as well.
So, Jabouille, a much maligned driver. There are some people that say it is the car and not Jabouille that does so well in Grand Prix racing these days, and nothing could be further from the truth. And that is Reutemann. Carlos Reutemann in the Saudia Leyland car, who was out of the race in the Argentina. Mario Andretti, his race finish, crossing the track. Reutemann, it looks as though he's out of the race, and he had a lot of trouble in practice. It hasn't been at all a good South American season for him. So, Jabouille leading. Behind him in second position, Didier Pironi. Then a close thing between Jacques Laffite in third position and Reutemann into the pits. There is the leader. And look at the gap as it's Laffite. Jacques Laffite is now in second position, and Arnoux is up into third place in the Renault. So it's Renault's first and third. In fourth position, it's Pironi. In fifth position behind them, it's De Angelis. Then it is Alan Jones is coming up to take sixth position. The man who won in the... And there is the leader, Jabouille, as Rosberg goes past with the two McLarens, and into the pits goes Pironi. Didier Pironi, who was second and second fastest in practice, is into the pits, I should think, for tyres.
Yes, I would suspect that tyres were playing a big part in this race. It usually does in Brazil. It's very hot, and the competing tyre companies are running marginal compounds, because Villeneuve's going into the pits also, and you can bet your life that's going to be for tyres as well.
So, lap 6, and we are looking at Nelson Piquet chasing Jody Scheckter, the reigning world champion. Scheckter in the Ferrari, who was not at all happy in the Argentine, out of the race, and the Ferrari has not been as reliable this season as it was last, and Piquet is seemingly closing up on the world champion. Villeneuve out of the pits, and of course, Nelson Piquet has the tremendous psychological urge to do well in front of his Brazilian home crowd. Double world champion, he's doing it. He's going to take Jody Scheckter, but I reckon Jody's let him through.
Yes, Jody pulled wide and let him through, which makes me suspect, we've just seen Villeneuve go into the pits for tyres. The only reason Jody would do that, he's slowed up, he must be in trouble, he must be headed for the pits, and he's being very gentlemanly and correct in that he's not being silly and halting Piquet's progress when he knows that he's about to go in the pits, and sure enough, there he is going in.
So, Scheckter, lap 11, Scheckter into the pits, and the leader, still Jean-Pierre Jabouille, but Laffite in second position. A long gap now before Laffite in second position is followed by René Arnoux there in the turbocharged Renault. In fourth position, it's Elio De Angelis, and in the background, in fifth place, Alan Jones. As we look now at the two Fittipaldi cars, Rosberg challenging his team leader, ex-world champion Emerson Fittipaldi, as they come up and take John Watson.
Yes, a very interesting thing here. Oh, interesting to see how much quicker the Fittipaldis are on the straight than the McLaren there. McLarens have suffered for a few years from slow speed on the straight. Interesting here that the number 2 drivers, the new generation, the young guys, have emerged in a big way. Alain Prost has been, for the second time this year in both races, considerably faster than his teammate John Watson, his team leader in practice. Keke Rosberg has just got through there, past Emerson Fittipaldi, his team leader. He was quicker in practice than Emerson. Villeneuve, of course, has been consistently faster than Scheckter was last year, but lost out on experience. Didier Pironi blew off Jacques Laffite in practice. Admittedly, Laffite had a troubled practice. And the only combination that stayed according to plan, of course, is Arnoux and Jabouille.
And Jody Scheckter, we just caught a glimpse of there, is out of the second Grand Prix in succession. It is certainly not his year in South America, but it is so far here for Jean-Pierre Jabouille. And that is the car of Jacques Laffite, who was in second place. He went out in the Argentine, and the Ligiers too are proving to be unreliable. Jacques Laffite out of the race, so as the leader, Jean-Pierre Jabouille, starts another lap Up into second place will come his teammate René Arnoux, the young Frenchman. So it looks as though it could well be, for the first time, a Renault 1-2, and that's Nelson Piquet into the pits with, it looks like a puncture. We'll soon see, as he was in sixth position, Nelson Piquet, in front of his Brazilian home crowd, and it is a puncture. Left rear tyre being changed, and it'll be very, very quick indeed with just one tyre to change. And Nelson Piquet will be out and back into the race. The wheel nuts being tightened up. Down it goes off the jack, and out of the pits goes Nelson Piquet. Lap 17, and in front there, but about to be lapped, is Clay Regazzoni in the Unipart Inside, and that's Piquet's car. Piquet's presumably tyres and into the Armco, although he looked perfectly all right.
Yeah, well, it looked to me, Murray, as if he had a completely flat left rear, and it's very frequent that you damage the suspension driving around. If he had to drive any distance on that, we didn't get a picture of him coming around, but if he had to drive any distance, he could have damaged the rear suspension, gone out of the pits, and it just broken. Much more likely to have been something like that than him going off on new tyres, because he's experienced enough now to know to feel his way out for a lap or so, and he must have gone straight out and crashed.
37-year-old Jean-Pierre Jabouille going magnificently, and so there is Didier Pironi in the Ligier, and that is number 25, because he came out of the pits in 15th position, and he's now coming right up through the field. You've just seen him take Keke Rosberg in the Fittipaldi, and he's closing up to be in the first half dozen. He's just taken Jochen Maas in the new A3 Arrows, and he's within sight now of Riccardo Patrese in the other Arrows, who is in sixth place, and that's an incredible drive by Pironi, who's really showing class this season. He's changed his allegiance from Tyrrell to Ligier. He loves the car, and he's certainly driving it superbly. Jochen Maas there leading Keke Rosberg in the Fittipaldi. Lap 22, and Jabouille is catching Derek Daly, number 4, on the left, the other Tyrrell driver, the Candy Tyrrell driver, and Jabouille passes Daly, who is in 16th place. So we are just about over half distance now, 40 laps, Fittipaldi into the pits in his Fittipaldi car to change tyres, and now Pironi has caught Patrese. Patrese is in sixth place in the new and enormously improved, compared with last year's car, A3 Arrows, and Pironi is going to take him, I think.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see, Murray, because the new Arrows, I gather, is particularly quick in a straight line. The Ligier is not a bad car in a straight line, but it'll be very, I think you'll find that it's going to be quite difficult for Pironi to get past, because he'll pull out from the toe. The Arrows will continue to penetrate the air as Pironi hits the proverbial brick wall of air.
And did you see that in the background there? That is Jean-Pierre Jabouille, and he is going into the pits. The race leader in the turbocharged Renault is going into the pits. He had trouble with his turbocharger in practice. He wanted to drive his spare car, but was prevented from doing so by the team manager, and he won't be at all happy about that. Into the pits.
Yeah, well, here's Pironi has now finally pulled out. He failed to get the toe and pass Patrese and the Arrows on the way up, but looks as if this time he got the right run at it, and he has done it.
And in the background, Alain Prost, the young French driver, and there he is in his first season of Formula One racing. He was sixth in the Argentine, and he's actually getting up to what there he is in the background as Pironi takes Patrese.
Yes, Alain Prost had a fantastic season in Formula 3 last year. He basically swept all before him, and he's made a really strong impression in his arrival in Grand Prix racing. He's been markedly quicker than John Watson, who's very experienced and quick in both. And that is René Arnoux, the new leader, who's just taken over from his teammate Jabouille. He's in a comfortable lead. As I was saying, Alain Prost has been comfortably quicker than Watson in testing and in both of the first two races, and he would appear to be a very major prospect indeed for the future in Grand Prix racing.
René Arnoux, 31 years old, from Magny-Cours. This is only his 20th Grand Prix. He finished second twice last year in his first full season, and that's Patrick Depailler, the Frenchman, driving in the Alfa Romeo team out of the race. And now we are looking at Prost, who has caught right up with Riccardo Patrese. Patrese, who is in sixth position in the Arrows, and Prost is going to take him.
Well, it's going to be a fight for straight line speed again, because Prost, the McLaren, as we saw earlier, is slow in a straight line. He passed on genuine speed out of the corner, got the run at it, and now it looks to me, and Patrese is repassing him, which just shows, considering that Prost left the corner faster than Patrese, Patrese's got him again. It just shows the difference in speed of aerodynamics between those two cars.
Into the pits again, Gilles Villeneuve, as we look at René Arnoux on his way, on his last lap to his first Grand Prix victory in his career of Formula One racing, his first short career of Formula One racing, and it's been an absolutely magnificent drive. This is a good course for the power of the Renault, but I wonder how the Renault is going to perform in later Grand Prix.
Well, of course, the next Grand Prix of South Africa, where the altitude will be a huge advantage to the turbocharged Renault, which can supply air at whatever pressure it wants, whereas the normally aspirated cars get about 25 or 20% less because of the 6,000 feet altitude. After that, the Renault has done much better here at this stage of the season than it did last year. Last year, Brazil was a real struggle for the Renault team, and so we're looking at a steadily improving team. They won last year, they're winning now this year, it would appear. It's only their big problem is how they'll do on the slow circuits, the tight, twisty ones we've got coming after South Africa.
The checkered flag, 9 points in a moment in the bag for René Arnoux, which will move him up to second place in the World Championship. His first win, he was second in Great Britain last year. He's driven an absolutely perfectly judged race. Took over from his team leader, Jean-Pierre Jabouet, on the 25th lap. And he is now about to catch Riccardo Patrese, who is in 6th place because Prost has moved ahead of Patrese into 5th. Pironi is 4th. Alan Jones in the Saudi Al Leyland car is on his way to 4 points to retain his World Championship lead. And the brilliant young Italian, Elio De Angelis, looks as though he's going to finish in 2nd place. The question at the moment, just for the record, is whether Patrese is going to let Arnoux through and lap him at the end of the race, and whether Arnoux will even bother.
Well, I don't think he'll bother to try and pass him, but with the power that we've seen, here we go. This is an uphill straight again, the final straight, and Arnoux just marches past on pure power, because we've already seen how quick in terms of top speed the Arrows is.
The first win, and I suspect the first of many, for René Arnoux at the Brazilian Grand Prix of 1980, and a superb win. And look, on the closing lap, Arnoux has run out of petrol on the 41st lap in this 40-lap race, and it looks as though he's going to do his lap of honour sitting on the car of Riccardo Patrese, who finished in 6th position. That's
a government-owned company like Renault's treating the fuel crisis seriously and not wasting any.
So the winner then, there he is, René Arnoux in the Renault, and he'll be back again, I'm sure, to win more Grand Prix.
Well, a close call for René Arnoux, but a comfortable win nevertheless. The Lotus number 2 driver, Elio De Angelis of Italy, was 2nd. Alan Jones, winner of the opening round in Argentina, was 3rd. Didier Pironi of France, 4th. And he was followed in by yet another young Frenchman, Alain Prost, in his first season of Formula One. And Riccardo Patrese of Italy gets his first point of the season. So after 2 rounds, the Drivers' Championship looks like this. Jones leading on 13 points, 4 points clear of Arnoux, with De Angelis and Piquet equal 3rd, and Keke